Well, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
We'll go ahead and get started here. I appreciate everyone that showed up. To my knowledge, no one's ever done this before, so we didn't know what to expect. My purpose here tonight is just to keep you informed as a citizen of the city of Alton. We'd like to let you know what's going on, what kind of problems we had to deal with and issues last year, how we got through that, and we'll just go from that standpoint. And again, I want to thank the Corps engineers and their staff for letting us use this. Appreciate it. We gave them a couple weeks notice and they were very gracious to let us come in. I want to thank RiverBender.com. They called yesterday and said they'd like to film this, so be on your best behavior. May 28th of last month was my first anniversary as the Mayor of Alton. It was a very difficult year from a financial standpoint, but it was also a very rewarding time in my life. I appreciate the opportunity to serve you. I take it extremely serious, and we all have put forth our best efforts to make our community a little better for everybody. We had to start the year off with a huge budget deficit, and many unpleasant reductions in staff had to be implemented, and a great deal of tightening our belts to survive financially. However, we did survive. We came in $1 million, actually a little over $1 million under what we budgeted, which was huge. And the bad news is this year's picture is not much brighter, but we do know we can survive because we've done it once already, and so we'll get through this one the same we did last one, and hopefully maybe by that time things will turn around a little bit. As a result of our financial actions that we took, I have some good news, but our underlying Standard & Poor's bond ratings went from an A to an A+. That's huge, and the significance of this is very important. The rating was primarily due to budgetary reductions, which moved the city closer to a break-even operations and hopefully eliminating our need to further deplete our reserves. This has proved extremely beneficial. On the morning of June the 8th, pricing was held and we refinanced our marina bonds at a new interest rate of 2% for the years 2010 to 14, escalating to 3% by the year 2017, at which time they'll be paid off. 3% is the final bond maturity rate. These interest rates replaced existing rates which ranged from 4.6 to 5% in 2017. The percentage on the refund was 8%, well above the standard which is set as 3%. And the city will save $327,274 in interest over the next 7 years. So that was a huge step, and those are the kind of things that we implemented to get back to where we started, how we're going to survive. While Alton has been affirmed with a stable outlook, a reasonably stable outlook, the city will need to continue to find new ways to become more efficient with our taxpayer dollars. We will not make our financial problems yours. We didn't do that last year, and we're not going to do it this year. This administration will not balance their budget on the backs of the taxpayers in Alton. Keep in mind that only about 20% of your tax bill is returned to the community. I would like to introduce my council and other elected officials at this time. I see my treasurer, Cindy Roth. If you will, Cindy, stand up. Our city clerk, Mary Bowles. Mary, I, the treasurer, and the 7 aldermen are the only elected officials in Alton. David Bowles, the 7th Ward Alderman. Jim Ryan, 1st Ward Alderman. Mike Beloff, 3rd Ward Alderman. Do we have any other aldermen here? Alice Martin. Okay, Gary Fleming, 5th Ward. Charlie Brake, 5th Ward. Gary, 6th Ward. Right?
Gary 6 on 5.
Okay, and Alice Martin, I saw Alice come in. Alice Martin is the 4th Ward alderperson. Also, I would like at this time to introduce my appointees. Would everybody who's appointed by me stand up, and as I introduce you, you can sit down. Down here on the bottom row, we have Fire Chief Greg Bach. My Assistant Fire Chief, Mark Harris. City Engineer, Bill. Personnel Director Dave Miles. My Comptroller Stephanie Elliott. Park and Rec Director Brad Cunningham in the back. My right hand Matt Esselmeyer. And my other right hand Mary Pat Dark. I want you to make no mistake that without the cooperation of these people and our employees, pardon me? I see Greg Cat. Okay, Chief Hayes, I didn't see you. Chief, I'm sorry. Phil Roggio and Greg Caffey. I'm sorry, guys, I didn't see you back there. But again, I'll start out to make no mistake about it. Without the cooperation of these people, my department heads who have stepped up to the plate, just done an excellent job, this situation would have been extremely difficult. If you don't have leadership at the top, you're certainly not going to have it at the bottom. And these people and their staff have all helped, just jumped in, and like I say, this could have been a disaster situation that we just got through. Having a loyal and dedicated staff is paramount to anybody's success. They make me look good, and I appreciate that. One must lead by example, and I believe that my department heads do that. Employees must feel appreciated and treated fairly if they are to maintain their motivation. In the year 2009, all non-union employees did not get a raise for 6 months, and in the year 2010, no non-union employees will get a raise. No elected official got a raise in 2009, and no elected official will get a raise in 2010. I would like to say a special appreciation to our Teamsters and our Firefighters Union. Stepped up to the plate. They had a contracted pay increase coming April 1st of this year, and both unions have relinquished that raise, and those are the earmarks of teamwork, and I'm very proud of all of you who sacrificed. More than 50% of the world's population lives in cities today. If that trend continues at today's pace, this figure will escalate to 70% by 2050. So you may ask, what does that mean? Well, most importantly is the escalated economic and political awareness of a mayor and a city and the clout that brings with it. The municipal government is the closest form of government to the people because it has a direct impact on their lives. We are responsible for public safety, infrastructure, electrical and water services, transportation, and social services. With this comes the question of municipal service performance. It is my responsibility as the mayor to make all this come together at a reasonable and affordable cost to you, the taxpayer. Every progressive community must constantly be flexible and seriously thinking of what sets my community apart when it comes time to compete for new businesses. What sets us apart? What do we have to offer that the city next to us doesn't have? Of course, money is always great. Property is great. But we have to rely sometime on just what our resources are. Just think how fortunate we are to have the river and what we've got down at the riverfront right now. Thank goodness again for old Bob St. Peters years ago who fought it. They made fun of him, but if Bob St. Peters wouldn't have been diligent in protecting our riverfront, we wouldn't have what we have today. So I thank Bob for that every time I see it. We've got history on our side. We've got historic homes and historic districts in the city. What you have to do then is take that information and figure out how you're going to monopolize on it when you're dealing with attracting business. We have easy access to major highways. We're 25 minutes from downtown St. Louis. We've got Lewis and Clark University and Godfrey on one hand, and we've got SIUE. We're right in the middle of an educational center. We've got our own local airport 10 minutes away. We've got a dental school. So we've got a lot of things going for us. Sometimes I feel like I've got a plate of Jell-O on a piece of cardboard with no mold on it. I'm trying to, by the time I get this one reined in, this side slips off. And then I'm trying to hold it all together. But we have managed to do that, and we have gotten through this first year. Again, extremely difficult time. I try to take a common sense approach to all my dealings. I try to keep you educated, and that is part of the reason we're here tonight. An educated constituent is my best ally. We have strived to become transparent in all of our dealings, creating a feedback system. We have an open door policy, and we made internal improvements and view our participation with you, the public, as a partnership. I feel it is safe to say that the federal and state budgets are inefficiently organized and public pension plans are a disaster. The financial crash of 2008 is leading to a day of reckoning. As of last week, 28 states have ordered across-the-board budget cuts. 22 states have implemented unpaid furlough days, and employees have been laid off in over 25 states. 3/4 of the mayors interviewed by the National League of Cities have described worsening economic conditions. What we are facing today in government, in my view, is a correction period, and we're going to get it straightened out, and there's one reason why we're going to get it straightened out. It's the only way we can survive. We have to. Running a city, a county, or state as we have known it in the past, those days are over. New approaches and new ideas must be implemented. I believe working together we can accomplish great things, set an example of cohesiveness, and establish a positive work environment with a sense of reward for all of our hard work. It would be almost impossible for me to tell you the hundreds of decisions I make in a year's time. Most of them never get to the council. Just the day-to-day developments of the phone ringing with something from a minor as a neighbor's dog barking to unhappy constituents claiming police brutality. The fire department didn't show up in time. Building and zoning wouldn't give me an occupancy permit. I feel that every day, and I try to get it back to my department heads and my aldermen. The best way to get to me is through your alderman, and it frees my time up. I am very impressed. Again, I cannot give enough credit to my staff and council and all my employees on our successes. When I got ready to do this, I thought, what am I going to talk about? So I started reflecting on my past year, and it became just very apparent how busy we really were and what all we have done. The state and the federal government implements mandates constantly, which are forced on cities. The bad part is they never force a way of funding them. But anyway, last year, the city had to comply with 3 new mandates, which are very time-consuming. These are required by law, so we don't have an option. But we had to appoint an Open Meetings Act officer. What that means is that just protects your interests. We can't meet as a governing body and make decisions without being in an open session like we are here. I'm not even allowed to sit in the same room with 3 of my aldermen at one time. 2 is the max. You can never have that majority where you could make a decision. We had to have a Freedom of Information Act officer, which anytime you want to know what's going on with the city, you have that right as a citizen. The Freedom of Act, the way it was written, I mean, the intent behind it is great. It is a disaster the way they wrote the law in Springfield. It is just an absolute disaster, and it needs correction. But nevertheless, we have to comply with it. We comply with Freedom of Information Acts every day. We also had to appoint an American with Disabilities Act officer to make sure all ADA compliances are met. Without Matt Alselmeyer, Matt is the officer for all 3 of those, does a tremendous job, and it takes somebody with an enormous amount of education and dealing with government and knowing how to deal with government, and Matt does a great job. Matt has set the city up with a fantastic website. It's updated almost daily. And again, there are certain laws that are mandated by the government where we have to post certain things on the website. So that's why it's so important to have somebody like that. Matt's really not an IT expert, but he certainly does a great job. We created a quarterly newsletter, reaching out to the community, trying to keep them informed of what's going on. We had to complete the 2010 census for the federal government. Again, Matt and David Miles, my personnel director, worked on that. We had about a 75% compliance with the people in Alton. Right now, if you see the people out knocking on doors, that's from people that didn't reply. It's so important if you know anybody that didn't reply to the census, because we get money by the head. All of our revenues from the federal government like that are based on a head count, so much per capita. So it's very important that you capture it. We work on the homeless. We work on the people in the cooling centers. We work on the girls at Oasis. All those people are residents, and every one of them counts. We had the rededication of the National Cemetery down on Pearl Street with the cooperation of Alton Township, Richard Baird, and the personnel from Jefferson Barracks down in South St. Louis. It was a cemetery for our veterans that needed some dire attention, and they really spiffed it up, and if you haven't been down there, you need to go by and take a look. We work with, I'm working with a select group of people. We're trying to create a Elijah Lovejoy Memorial Stamp. You have to start on that project about 4 years in advance of when you think you're going to get the stamp. We don't even know. There's thousands and thousands of requests a year, and they only select about 100. I think it's 100 even every year, and then that won't be even until 5 years later. So a lot of things what we talk about tonight, keep in mind that all of these people, some of the aldermen have been here, Gary, Charlie, 12 years, Jim, 8 years, Chief, and these guys, 20. A lot of the things we do and the decisions we make, we won't even see the fruition of some of those decisions. You're always working on the future. You know, my analogy is always the bridge across the river to Alton. Every mayor, Eddie Voumard built the bridge, Bob Taus built the bridge, Don Sandys built the bridge. The fact of the matter is it started with Ed Voumard, the idea did. And it got completed in Mayor Taus's term, and that's fine. We all take credit for whatever happens while we're in office. But a lot of things that we're working on now, we will never see. And I'm going to touch on a couple of those that are huge for Alton later. We opened a new Madison County Transit Station last year, a $5.9 million project. The importance of the expense of that transit station is back in 1997 or 8, I was an alderman, we put together a master plan to coordinate street lights, sidewalks. You'll go to some places in Alton, you'll see a brick sidewalk, a patch of concrete, maybe the sandstone, whatever. We have an overall master plan, as you'll notice now in downtown and in Upper Alton and North Alton, where the street lights all match. Everything. That station was built with our master plan in mind. Thanks to Alton Memorial Hospital that they opened up a new wing with $48.5 million new wing at the hospital. Did we have any part in that? Not really directly, but the importance of that to you as a citizen is, make no mistake, when you're trying to attract people to your community, three things people look at, the top three. They look at crime statistics, they look at health care and health facilities, and they look at the school system. I don't know if it's in that order, but that's the first three things look for. So I take my hat off to Alton Memorial Hospital for doing that. Community Counseling Center is expanding to a new 36,000 square foot expansion, and their operation is the cost of $7.5 million, and it put 100 construction jobs to work for a couple of years. We have continued commercial development along the Homer Adams Parkway, interior and exterior improvements at the Alton Square Mall. We had a new farm and home store open, and the redevelopment of the new Best Western Hotel has finally been signed off by the governor about 10 days, maybe 2 weeks ago, to be part of the enterprise zone. So you should start seeing some work on that right away. That's been the hang up there in case you haven't noticed any activity. That's about a $2 million project, and they have plans to follow that with about another $11.5 million with another hotel, and I won't say the name, but they've been talking to a restaurant on the outlot. Wendy's last week is coming back to town. Wendy's picked up their building permits about Wednesday of last week. They're going to be building out around the shop and save area on the Beltline. We implemented the first full season of entertainment at the amphitheater with a newly formed amphitheater commission, and it's made up of people from the public. We have one city employee and that's from the park department to look after our interests, but the bulk of the rest of the people on the amphitheater commission are just citizens. We tried to spread it around the community. They're making the day-to-day decisions about managing the facility. We're going to have 3 and possibly 4 free concerts this summer, and the amphitheater also has an updated website, so anything you want to find out about that is then. We had our first concert last week. It was a huge success to say the least. I'm guessing, I don't know any figures, but I'd say we had around 1,100 to 1,200 people, maybe tops. Not one incident. I want to thank all the employees in the city that came down and donated their time and acted as security. Like I said, we had a food vendor there who was pleased, can't wait to come back. We had several organizations, which I'll mention here in a minute, that donated money for this to make it free to the public because we want to get people used to using it. The so-called bridge to nowhere was used. I wish some people who had that thought that the bridge to nowhere to see how much it was used last week. And I'm sure that the next concert is going to be bigger than the first one just because of how successful the first one was. The amphitheater received a Pride Award, and the St. Louis Construction and Real Estate News Magazine awarded the Alton Riverfront a Public Space Award for design and gathering space, improving the cultural and economic vitality of downtown Alton. The city has also received over $70,000 from corporate sponsors to aid with the additional events this summer. So if you haven't been down there, we got a little bit of something for everybody. Come on down. 4th of July, let's see, the 2nd of July is when we have our fireworks. There's going to be a free band before the fireworks, and there'll be a band after the fireworks, and it's all free to the public. We have received notice of approval of $660,000 transportation enhancement grant, for which we call the Bridge West project. What that is when you come off the bridge in Alton and make your left, it's to enhance and beautify that area between the bridge and when you get downtown going toward the Sears building. I think, does that go down to 4th Street, Phil? All the way to 4th Street. So anyway, that's where that money will be spent, enhancing that. The Department of Development and Housing successfully implemented the Hunterstown DIF, which is to spur new residential development and help bring a major employer to Alton. We provided assistance to Imperial Manufacturing to facilitate their expansion and the expansion of their product lines and the products they sell. We are continuously targeting property acquisition in the Hunterstown neighborhood. We received funding approval in the amount of $382,800 in neighborhood stabilization funds to redevelop abandoned and foreclosed properties. We received a community development block grant stimulus allocation for $269,000 for storm sewer and infrastructure improvements. We assisted the Jacoby Art Center with exterior improvements and the initial planning efforts that develop a green space adjacent to the center. We had a visit last year from a Nobel Peace Prize candidate who didn't win it, unfortunately, but he was in Alton the day they made the announcement. His name was Greg Mortensen, who had written a book about caring for your fellow citizen and volunteerism. Well, from that, there was a spin-off formed in Alton called the Alton Caring Corps. I would like to make a special thank you to a gentleman who's not here tonight. His name is Curtis Collins and Missy Churchman and Sarah McGibney, who have really been and Matt, who have really kind of been the nucleus of holding this thing together. What they have done, just to show you the community effort, but at the Lincoln Douglas Square when we had the Christmas tree last year, they started out with a canned food drive. Mike Veloff and Bill went down, they're both civil engineers, and kind of built a little castle out of the canned goods, and then we donated them to charity. We had a bunch of I took a group myself from East Middle School, and we had several children go to the nursing homes, shelter care homes, singing Christmas carols. We went to Alton Memorial Hospital for their Christmas party luncheon, was extremely well received, and I thank the school district, the teachers, and all the participants for that. Right after that, the Caring Corps put together a Martin Luther King Day basketball game, which we had participation from the police department and the fire department, playing in tandem with, well, they made a mistake. They played against the kids, and the kids about killed them. They wore them out, but we'll get to another side of that story later. But anyway, it was well received. It builds trust between the police and the fire department and the kids, so that they're not, oh gosh, here comes the policeman, I better hide. We want interaction with that, especially with our inner city youth, to help prevent crime. The Caring Corps partnered with Pride on a citywide litter cleanup recently. On the corner of Union and Ridge, if you drive by, you'll see a community garden that people have donated the vegetables. They've tilled it up. I know Sarah's been involved. Mike Veloff went over and helped till it up. I don't want to miss anybody when I start pointing fingers, but all these good deeds. But these are, again, city employees and aldermen who's stepping forward and getting involved in these things. That's very important. And also we have, from my office again, Don Sandage started it, we have what we call an Alton Beautification and Clean City Mini Grant. It's for $250. We had 9 people apply for that this year. And what that amounts to, if your neighborhood wants to take on a project of beautification, we'll give you up to $250 to buy your flowers, mulch, whatever you want to do to beautify it. You have to just submit a request, tell us what you're going to do and how you're going to maintain it. Excuse me for a second. As a member, Don Sandage signed on what they call the Cool Cities Initiative, which I wouldn't have, and he did, and I'm glad for that. But as a member of the Cool Cities Initiative, what you're supposed to do is reduce your carbon footprint and your emissions back to 1990 levels, or actually below 1990 levels, if I'm not mistaken, within a certain time frame, and I don't remember exactly how many years that is. But as a member of that, we are constantly striving for ways to reduce our energy usage and reduce our carbon footprint. As of July 11, 2010, we have reduced our power bills over last year in the city of Alton by $201,240. We have incorporated 2 hybrid vehicles into our fleet. These two vehicles were donated by ConocoPhillips. Our public works facility was recently evaluated by the University of Illinois through a special engineering program, and a grant has been applied for to implement further cost and energy savings at the facility. The point being, we are constantly searching for ways to save money and save our planet. I would like to introduce a gentleman here, Brian Hutchison. Brian, if you'll wave. But Brian, I'm working diligently with Brian. Brian is an energy consultant of sorts. He's a HVAC guy. We are working. We applied for this grant collectively. We've got Dan Beiser, Bill Hain, a bunch of Dale Chapman, quite a group. Jim Gray here is involved in trying to put together. Green is here to stay. Energy reduction has to be done. We're applying for these grants and working through the university, trying to put all this together and put people to work, because that's where the new jobs are going to be. The new jobs are going to be in weatherization for the small businessman, windows, new HVAC systems, anything, any kind of weatherization. And Brian and I have met. Matter of fact, we met this morning again, still trying to get this. Brian's been to Washington, D.C., been to Chicago. We're finally getting, I think, to the top of the mountain now. Now we just got to hope it all falls together, right, Brian? But we did apply for a grant, and that will put people to work. As I campaigned for this position, my number one priority was finding a way to implement and increase jobs. I am happy to say that in my first year, I exceeded what I thought I would do in 4 years. Imperial Manufacturing at the Alton Business Park has added 40 full-time jobs and increased their warehouse space by over 70,000 square feet, and they're still growing as we speak. We are presently working with Carol Frew's Bridal Shop and Apparel. We're going to try to upgrade the Snyder Building and the Sears Building for them. They're going to bring about 25 full-time jobs with them immediately, and hope to increase that to by another 20 by the end of next year, due to their new line of apparel. The Simmons Law Firm, as everyone knows by now, is relocated in the old Jefferson Smurf building, and they're going to bring about 225 jobs, putting a 50,000 square foot building back in use and back on the tax rolls. I don't think that you can imagine how huge that is. There was a building that was generating no taxes. I would have figured never would have had a second life due to the fact that it just took so much to rehab it and make it usable by today's standards. But this will continue to spur new developments in our community, as will the Snyder Building stabilize the downtown area. We still, and I know you get tired to hear about it, but we still are working on a new hotel development, and we will, and the new hotels that we talked about earlier on the Beltline will be job creations, but I don't know how many yet, so I'm not going to speak to that. And we still are working with a new hotel and convention center for this downtown area. We assembled our 2010 budget. Our goal was to make it as simplified and as transparent as possible. I had all my department heads issue mission statements and goals for the coming year. Goals were presented in the structure of our governmental offices, so if you want to look into the budget, it's online. You can see how from the mayor, how the charts go down and who works for who. We assisted with the development of residential housing units in downtown and commercial spaces, including the Farmer Germania and the Weed buildings. 79 first-time home buyers went through the home ownership program last year, expending $261,000. The total expenditures since the inception of this program exceed $3 million, and over 800 families have moved to Alton because of the home buyer program. We demolished 40 derelict properties. Building and zoning is a very, very busy component of the city, and you'll understand why I say that. Not that we're all not busy, but they have a huge undertaking. They issued over 1,500 building and alteration permits for homes last year. They issued 4,568 building and zoning violations. When people say, well, you guys aren't paying attention to that house and the grass needs cut and the weeds need, 4,568 citations were sent out. 1,301 of those ended up going to court, and we placed 178 liens on property for non-compliance. So someday some of these people in Alton that think they beat the system are going to go to sell that house, and they're going to find out that we have a lien on the property. There's a way to take care of that. We don't like doing business that way. We only do it when we're forced into it. This office that I just referred to, the Building and Zoning, lost 2 employees last year. We expended over $200,000 for sidewalks, curbs, and gutters and street improvements. We have a flood memorial that's in the design stage with funding from a scenic byway grant for over $200,000. The total package will cost more than that, but that was the grant that we got from the scenic byway. Starting tomorrow, hopefully, there's a new program. We thought it was going to start 2 weeks ago, called Put Illinois to Work. We are so far behind on our grass cutting and some of our street repairs. We've short-staffed. Like I say, we lost 39 positions last year. But the governor has signed put into effect a program called Put Illinois to Work, where you take displaced workers. We don't have to pay them. We're not responsible for workman's comp. We're not responsible for unemployment. We just have to find jobs for them. The state pays them. So we've asked for 20 employees starting tomorrow morning to do nothing but start on the empty lots and picking up trash and litter and cutting grass and just doing anything in general. We do have a few clerical people we've applied for. These people have passed drug tests, and we know that none of them are on the sexual offense register. But hopefully we'll get these people, and the sooner the better, because we got a lot of work for them to do. 2 people I have to give a special thanks to tonight. If you would again, Mary Pat is my secretary, and Matt Asselmeyer. I'm going to make no bones about it. I wouldn't be here without the help of those 2 people. I could not do the job. I'm going to pat myself on the back, I guess, but I picked 2 of the right people. They never complain. They never miss work. They're diligent. They're caring. They're great people skills. Every guy comes in the office tries to steal Mary Pat for his secretary. So I'm going to have to start putting her under lock and key. On a sad note, we did lose Farmer Mayor Paul Lenz last year, and we did lose Farmer Police Chief Rudy Souders, who were both, I think Mayor Lenz was 16 years, maybe 20 as a mayor, 16 years, and I think Rudy Souders was probably his police chief for most of that. So anyway, that was on a sad note, 2 loyal, dedicated city employees. A couple more notes here I'm just going to read. I asked for my staff and some of the department heads to put together a little something, because I can't tell you how hard these people work. I mean, when we were putting the budget together, I'd see Cindy Roth, I'd see Stephanie working Saturdays, I'd see him working nights. Brad Cunningham, I call his wife all the time, said don't leave him, I'm trying to get him to go home. I can't get Brad to go home. The fire department, you've all heard in the past of all the troubles we had with the fire department. We have not had one little glitch or blip on the radar. Just everybody, Dave Miles, we couldn't have got through the layoffs and some of the union problems without him. Again, the union stepped up to the plate and gave up a raise. But from the parking, this is from my people themselves, so I'm just going to highlight it to keep it. I edited some of this from the guys and girls, but Park and Recreation Department worked 2009 without a lost time accident. How important is that? Our workman's comp bill this year went down by $80,000. That's how important that is. We had a meeting today. We have implemented once a month safety meetings with all department heads. We've implemented safety suggestion boxes in every department, and we have a safety officer for every building in the department. Our accidents are on the decline. We did implement light duty work, where before a guy used to just be on workman's comp. Now he has to come to work. He still gets his full pay, or she, doesn't matter, I say he, but most of our accidents are in public works or with the fire department and police department because of the nature of their job. Olin Park will be completed this fall. We're waiting for, we've got the wires running, all that. Park will be lit up. We're waiting for the street lights to be delivered. We went up today and did some work, if you'll notice. We did some more grading. The guys know that that's a top priority with me, and they guaranteed me they will have it done shortly. We did put in 2 pavilions up there, and we put a walking asphalt park. We do have to put the basketball court in and the lights, and then we're done. We had construction of new playground and equipment donated by the Westerner Club from Olin for Killian Park at Salu that the park department put up in about 2 days last year. We got it up right away, and that was a good job, Brad. Thank you. We have new field lights at Diamond 3 at Goldenmore Park, which we've got funded with a PEP grant. That cost $92,000. We planned a 9-hole disc golf course for Gordon Moore Park, and we also constructed an 18-hole disc golf course at Rock Springs Park with concrete tees donated by attorney Tim Campbell. We have expansion of the Prairie Restoration Project with added demonstration garden project. We are working as we speak with the Alton School System on the Rock Spring Park and the Pepsi Refresh $50,000 grant they just got. We're doing some tree removal for them, and we're going to start enhancing the old Rock Springs tennis courts. I can't emphasize the countless hours these people have put in to make our amphitheater a success. From arranging staff, security, planning acts, weddings, concerts, establishing the commission, it has been a huge endeavor. And it should get easier as we go along, but we wanted everything to start off right. We didn't want any problems, any glitches. You got that major investment down there, and if things start off on the wrong foot and you get a bad reputation, that's not a good start. And again, I just can't compliment everybody enough for what they did last week. It was great. My fire department had some very unique challenges last year. Again, they lost personnel. Doing more with less is certainly not a new or novel idea, but our firefighters adjusted and are constantly bringing new ideas to the plate. They fought an inordinate amount of structure fires, if you'll know, between Christmas and March. I don't know what happened there, Chief. How many fires do we have? It was just like one after the other.
24,
how many?
I think 24.
24 in a 3-month period. That's unbelievable. Without sustaining a significant lost time injury. Again, there's your workman's comp coming into play. Our workman's comp, based on what we've done the first 6 months of this year, should take a tremendous drop again next year. Our fire department is a highly trained, one of the most highly trained, if not in the region. They offer a competent response for many things that you don't always think about. But they have structure fires, they have advanced life medical care, they can do trench rescue on construction sites or whatever, confined space rescues, high angle rope, marine response. We have the marine boat down at the marina. Ice cold water rescue, hazardous materials. We do fire investigations. We have a technical rescue team. We teach CPR classes. We maintain trained personnel to accomplish child care safety belt inspections, and conduct nearly 1,300 life safety inspections of commercial businesses annually. They maintain an advanced level of emergency medical care to the community. Chief Bach and Harris attended the Incident Safety Training Command in Bloomington, Illinois this past year, and Alton graduated its first probationary firefighter candidates from the Illinois Fire Service Institute Fire Academy in Champaign. What we did, we sent 2 young firefighters, new hires, to the academy. What that amounts to, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but I think we get those gentlemen at 80%.
That's correct.
The first year of their normal salary, so we get a 20% reduction for those people attending the academy. We had, again, I spoke before about the safety committee that we implemented. We have ever since 9/11, the awareness and heightened awareness of a disaster is paramount with every county, city, state. You need to be prepared for. Actually, a fire department bases a lot of things on what if, and that's the fact. What if this happens? How do we handle it? But we have a creation of a city safety violation concern form for all departments. Identify the key. We have certain personnel dedicated in every office in case of a incident. We identify the long-range needs of the city to get a buy-in from all the employees. The city has recognized and increased the need to train key personnel for response to operations of city's Emergency Operations Center. The city had full participation from all Emergency Operating Command members for a planned response to a countywide tornado disaster, which Doc was probably involved in at the health department. And what if a tornado hits? And we actually tracked this on a computer. The tornado supposedly was coming in, I'm going to say like from Edwardsville,
That's correct.
and heading this way, and you could see it coming, and how were you prepared for it once you knew it was coming? We went through that. The exercise was a real hit. It was real positive, and we all learned a lot from it. We have what they call a NIMS team, which is National Incident Management System. I don't know who is all involved in that, but I think every department head has to be a member of the NIMS team. Is that right, Chief?
That's correct.
And people, you have to take an online computer test and to show that you've done that. We have zero tolerance for driver's license requirements in all of our city departments. And we allowed the fire department to donate an old used fire truck to the village of Medora, Illinois. That goes hand in hand with being good neighbors. Godfrey donated us a fire truck, and we donated a fire truck to the next guy. But those pieces of equipment run you sometimes $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a piece. So most communities can't afford those, and we try to help each other. The police department, the cops, we had 3 laid-off police officers. Chief Hayes applied for a cops grant and rehired three laid-off police officers that are paid for by a grant. 2009 crime statistics was the lowest crime index since 1995. The national crime index dropped by 4%. Alton also dropped by 4%. National violent crime index dropped by 4.4% nationwide. Alton dropped 17.8%. Felony drug arrests were up 31%, and most of that was due to the Alton PD drug units. The DARE program at the schools was eliminated this year, but we are implementing a new program called Project Alert Face-to-Face Drug Education Program. It will be taught by the Alton Police Department School Resource Officer next year. Every child in the 6th grade will be a participant in that. We started Just Do the Right Thing program this year. On a huge note, and I had a nice email today from a gentleman on Ridge Street. It's hard to monitor, but we have been doing better with it. But we passed a noise ordinance, which is a form of pollution in my eyes. Some days on the weekends you can't even stand to sit out in your yard for the motorcycle noise and etc. But we did pass a noise ordinance. We had the cooperation of many motorcycle clubs. Loud car stereo tickets are being written, and we had some of the motorcycle clubs even donate the signs, when in Alton, when in town, keep it down. We have expanded our neighborhood watch problem solving meetings to North Alton starting next month in July. We will then have a citywide neighborhood watch program sustained from the Weed and Seed program. Patrol officers are now attending the monthly neighborhood watch meetings so they can directly interact with the residents and get to know them. Again, the police department and the fire department learned their lesson after that first basketball game I talked about. So they had one last Saturday with the youth up at Salut Park, and what they did, they put the police and fire and the youth all on the same team. To kind of even that out, we didn't use a whole oxygen tank the whole day. Police department has implemented. They maintain their own website. They got an extremely nice website. We had our second police academy that was well attended at Lewis and Clark College. We have expanded the Weed and Seed program and relocated the Ridge Street substation up to St. Clair's Hospital. I talked about David Miles before. David's my personnel director. David he's kind of like building his own. He's got almost too many jobs to mention. But in a condensed explanation, his department is responsible for all the health insurance, life insurance, hiring, firing, collective bargaining, disciplinary action, drug screening. He maintains files on all the employees, unemployment benefits, sexual and racial harassment policies, complies with the government to make sure our police and firefighter lists are updated and current, and prepares equal opportunity employers forms for racial hiring practices and promotions. Some of our achievements in this department for the past year include, again, an unfunded mandate from the federal government requiring a coverage to be offered for our employees' dependents up to age 26. We established a code of conduct that had never been in place before for all non-union employees. It has rules and guidelines for management level employees where none existed before. We worked with, again, David was instrumental in, I mentioned earlier, with the Census Bureau. He assisted with, we have a summer job youth program which just got implemented a couple weeks ago. The city received a federal grant to subsidize drug costs for our Medicare retirees for $60,000. And David is down to a 2-person office. There was 3 employees in there and he lost one. So everybody has had to pick up a lot of slack there, and I appreciate, Dave, all you do. The Treasurer's Office has strived to improve collection procedures. New methods of collecting city money were implemented, and such changes were necessary in order to recover money that was owed to the city. This staff is also down 25% compared to a year ago, but the smaller staff has maintained a high level of customer service. We have built in a pet license. We're going after those. We haven't done that for years and years. Many city employees were on that list, including me. I do have a valid pet license, and my treasurer notified me that my name was on the list. Our goal is to start billing residents for animal tags this fall, and anybody that doesn't have a current tag. Within the next year, we hope to bring collection of parking tickets back into the city. That was outsourced out to some, is it Wisconsin, Chief? Or, it's not working well. We're going to bring that back in-house and do it ourselves. During the past year, the treasurer moved working cash in and out of various bank accounts in order to gain the highest interest rates possible. Revenue shortfalls and falling interest rates necessitated the need to look at new ways to invest for the short term while maintaining a cash flow and still protect your tax dollars. So Cindy does a great job, and thank you, Cindy. Stephanie Elliott, my comptroller, she's the one that helps me put the budget together. Because of the decrease in the city's revenue, adjustments and expenses had to be made. Expenses reduced. The comptroller's office implemented many changes which were cost-saving measures. Due to light-duty policy and continued safety training, as again I mentioned, that was her office is in charge of the IML risk, which is Illinois Municipal League risk, who we're insured with. And again, that's the office where the $80,000 reduction came through with Stephanie's office. Our cost of paper products, postage, and time have decreased because of increasing numbers of vendors signing up for our electronic payment system. And we have purchased new software, adding more efficiency with billing and collection fees. During this past year, the comptroller's office has continued to give their best, ensuring excellent service. With the loss of personnel, we have pulled together, and I know what it means to be a team. Thank you, Stephanie, for all you do. This past year, the city clerk's office has gone online with the State of Illinois Vital Record System, implementing electronic birth and death records. The records are printed on a state-issued security paper, which has a watermark along with the State of Alton, the State of Illinois and City of Alton seal. The city clerk's office lost a clerical and an evening maintenance person. City Clerk Mary Bold said, "My staff has pulled together to perform the extra duties of these positions and continue to serve the citizens of Alton in an efficient manner. In these serious economic times, I am very proud of my staff along with all the departments in the city. We are like a family and we pull together to make it work. We feel the citizens of Alton still get the great service they deserve." Again, sometimes when you're at the top, to put it bluntly, you catch all the hell when it comes down, but also you get a lot of credit, and none of that credit really is due without all my people that work with me and for me, and I appreciate everything all of you do. We do have time for a question and answer if anybody's got any questions. If I can't answer them, that's why my staff is here. And Dale Kelly's in the office. I would like to say we hired Dale as our energy consultant, and because of what Dale has done for us is why we've saved over $200,000 in energy costs. Dale takes it extremely serious, has done a great job, and is continually, we're just moving from building to building, from department to department, and we're going to increase that figure. Right, Dale?
Right.
Yes, sir, Doc. And Doc Halliday is here. He's county board member from District 9? 8 in Alton. Go ahead, Doc.
On the Put Illinois to Work program, have you already found out who those 20 people would be, or will they put in for that tomorrow, or what?
We just tell them how many bodies we want, and hopefully they'll show up where they're supposed to tomorrow.
Where do these people come from? Would they be local?
They should be local. They should be people that were, if my understanding is correct, and Dave, you correct me if I say something wrong here, I think they're people who were working and laid off of a job. I don't think it's people that never had a job. I think these were people that had a job and were laid off. And there's college graduates. There's from this end of the scale to this end. There's clerical. There's men. There's women. Like I say, we intend, if they pass the background check, because we have to do that for our privacy reasons, but we're going to put one to work with Chief Hayes in the police department. Dave, I mentioned, the personnel man, has been short a girl for several months now, and we're going to try to put one in his office. And then the rest, we're just going to, for right now, we're just going to get them on the highways and byways and trying to clean the city up.
Just glad to see them doing local.
Yeah. But I think they'll be Jason Harrison and Chris Coleman are the two gentlemen from Alton that are working with this government program. So that's what we've been dealing with. So I would presume they're probably locals. Yes, sir.
The Alton City quarry, rock quarry. What is the city planning on doing about that?
The rock quarry?
Yeah.
The one on Albee Street, sir?
Yeah.
Well, that gentleman his head's harder than that rock. We've been dealing with him for over 10 years. He can continue, and he has the right to do that, what he's doing now. There will be no expansion of that quarry, if that's what you're worried about. Every once in a while, that quarry seems to rear its ugly head and go around and intimidate people in that particular area, around 10th and Bell and up to Madison Avenue and over towards State Street. The gentleman owns a ton of property up there, and he wants to mine it. We're not letting any more mining go on in the city of Alton, Illinois, not while I'm the mayor anyway. Now, we had worked out a deal with him back in the 90s, because I was an alderman at the time, where he could make that what they call a clean landfill, not garbage, but construction material. It's very profitable for him, and it's very profitable for the city. He can still do that. We'd like to see that hole filled up. We don't want somebody to walk away and leave that big gaping hole right in the heart of our city. But as far as I've been getting a few calls from people up that way, and I don't know if that's what you're referring to, about people saying they want options on our property again. Makes some of the older people nervous. They don't understand. They think the city's going to come in with eminent domain. We have no intentions of doing any of that. So,
Well, the last thing I heard was the city was supposed to close it, prairie, fill it in, make a park out of it.
it would be a monstrous project to ever fill that hole. I mean, it took years and years and years to dig it. It's going to take a long time to fill it. That thing is huge. But no, I don't know what would ever happen. That is his property, and it's a very viable piece of property, and it could be a moneymaker for him. We could all kind of form a little marriage there, and we could all come away happy and financially better off, and we're hoping that's what happens. We're always open to options, but his has mainly been, I want a quarry, and we're not going to let anybody quarry. That will not happen. Anybody else have any questions?
I got two questions from the internet back here.
All right.
One of them's asking about the status on the movie theater at the mall.
Okay, I knew that was going to come up.
The second,
And
the
this is,
second question on the chat room is, what is the status of riverboat revenue?
okay, I can answer both of those. Ironically, let me give you a quick scenario. Last year, Phil Rosio and I went to the Telegraph, talked to them. The people that were going to build the movie theater had already picked up their building permits. Matter of fact, they had already removed two businesses from Alton Square Mall. They had started working on the mall to move the theater inside. All of a sudden, Phil and I are down at the Telegraph talking to them and telling them how this project was going, how well it was going. We walked down to City Hall and hadn't been in the building 5 minutes when we get an email, the deal's off. I mean, you talk about just feeling like somebody just kicked you, especially after you're just talking to the media. With that being said, the deal wasn't off, but it was stalled. The money was tight at that time. Banks are still at the Dow, I think, dropped 158 points today. Lending institutions are playing it pretty close to their vest. Ironically, and I can't elaborate too much, and I don't want to lead anybody astray, but we did have a positive email today saying they are interested again, and somebody would be contacting us. Matter of fact, we had that email early this morning, and Phil, you made contact again later today, right?
That's correct.
So hopefully, my personal opinion, if you want to, I think we'll get a deal done. But I didn't want to bring it up because I know people are tired of hearing about it. And it would be a huge impact on Alton. And I don't know how I don't know how you could lose on it. I don't know how you could lose on the movie theater deal. It's got to be profitable. And what was the boat revenue? Boat revenue right now is down about 5% from where it was. Is that right, Cindy? About 5% from where we were last year? 5 to 7%, my treasurer says, from where we were last year, which last year was way down. But it has stabilized. I talk to the management at the boat every once in a while. They're feeling pretty good, pretty comfortable. Part of what will probably enhance us and help us again now is Missouri's coming to some of these no smoking laws starting the first of the year. We kind of got a double whammy in Alton when the smoking laws went into effect and the bottom dropped out of the economy all at one time. But our revenue was down considerably. There's no doubt about it. Any more, John, on the internet?
We got some complaints about the water department tearing up the street or something along those lines.
Well,
If you want to address that.
yeah, I told
them to reframe the question a little more positive than all possible.
yeah. Well, we work hand in hand with Illinois American Water Company sometimes, and it is disrupting to your neighborhood if they have to come in with new lines because they have to dig up usually part of your yard. And what they do come back and they do finish it, but sometimes they wait till they get whole neighborhoods, like we did that with the gas lines a few years ago, where all the gas lines in the whole city of Alton, I don't even know if they're done now. Are they still working on those, or is that project complete? That started years ago, but it was a multi-year project. But the same thing with the water lines. Some of those water lines in Alton have been in the ground for so long that they're starting to deteriorate. And the water company earmarked so much money per year to replace lines. That might have been somebody over in the Milton Hill area. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming. I hope, yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, my name is Dan Whiteside. I'm on the Alton Fire Department.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask in regards to the article that was in the last issue of the Advantage about the fire and police pension funds.
Yes, sir.
If you could expand on that a little bit and maybe talk about what's being done to face that problem.
Well,
If it is indeed a problem.
yeah, it is. There's no doubt about it. And the way I'm looking at that, I try to take a positive approach to that. Sometimes we're just a victim of what people before us did. But in a nutshell, I don't know if anybody saw the article. I don't even. Linda, did the Telegraph print you don't know? Okay. Anyway, I wrote an editorial about the police and fire pension funds. We don't have any control over the pension funds. It's in the Illinois state constitution. So the only way you could change the pension funds is somebody's going to have to take, in Springfield, is change the Illinois state constitution. What is happening right now, just to show you how far out of whack these things have gotten, every penny of every dollar that every citizen in the city of Alton pays in taxes, real estate taxes, does not cover our pension fund. So think of that. Next time you call City Hall and say, hey, my sidewalk's falling apart, somebody could say, yeah, it's going to the pension fund. Now, that's not the police fire departments. That's not their burden. I mean, they are entitled to a pension. What has happened is over the years, things have gotten out of whack. Now, our pension contribution may go down next year due to the fact we reduce personnel. I don't know the answer. And I said that in my article. You can't have a 60-year-old fireman fighting a fire. You're going to have work comp issues that are going to hurt you more than the pension's going to hurt you. You can't have a 60-year-old policeman chasing a guy down the alley. He's just physically not fit at that age. It's just nature takes its course. But you can't continue to let people retire at 50 years old with the same benefits that the other public sector or the private sector has to work till 65 for. I don't know the answers, but that's why the police and fire people like me, our state officials, we need to sit down at the table and say, hey, what'll make you happy? And what will it do for us financially so that it will come to a head, and I'll tell you why it will come to a head. Because when the money's not there, I mean, cities in California, if you want to get online, but Vallejo, California was one prime, just filed bankruptcy and said, that's it, we're done, we can't afford them. Right now, 66% of every dollar we get in the city of Alton goes to police and fire. Not just the pension funds, but 60% is the pension fund, and then 6% goes to the overall daily cost of fuel, cars, etc. So I don't know the answer, but I know that we, as intelligent, educated adults, we need to have representatives from those pension funds, fire and police and politicos, sit down together and say, hey, maybe what if you would increase it to 55 instead of 50? It's got to be huge. Starting with your new hires. I don't know. I don't know the answers. I just know the problem. And I know that's why we had to come up with layoffs last year, because what it also does, it hinders future growth. I can't afford to hire more policemen. I'd like to have more policemen. I'd like to have more firemen. I don't have the money to pay the wages because I'm paying all the wages to the guys that aren't working anymore. So it's a very complex problem. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I said that in my article. All I want to do is I want some people to contact me, and I want to sit down and say, here's what we think is our side of how we can work our way through this. A lot of people say, well, if you'd have funded all along, you wouldn't have that problem. That's not true at all. A pension fund at any given day depends. Your pension fund yesterday is different than it was today because the market dropped 158 points today. So at any given time, a pension fund could be solvent or could be insolvent. We've never had a problem. You've never had a person in Alton that couldn't collect his pension. And if you look forward now, you wouldn't see that either. But the way it's going today, at the rate it's increasing, by 2017, I think that was the year, I think it was 2017, my pension payment for police and fire will be $17.5 million. Today it's 5.2. It's doubled in the last 10 years. So it's a problem, but it's not a problem that can't be solved. All problems have a solution. You just need cooler heads to prevail. We need to sit down with the players. It's in their best interest as much as it's in my best interest. And it's in everybody's interest because you're coming from a public safety standpoint. I don't know if that answered any of your questions or not, but yeah, it's a dilemma. It's not just Alton. It's all over the state of Illinois, all over the country. I think Granite City just laid off firemen and policemen because of they're getting sued the same way Alton did, and so they just eliminated personnel to get through it from a financial standpoint. You don't have money to buy new trucks. We need new fire trucks. We need new police cars. You don't have any money for anything left because it's all going to the pension fund. So, what's the answer? I don't know, but I think again, I hate to reiterate and keep saying the same thing, but I think cooler heads could sit down and figure out a solution where everybody will go home happy, and that will happen, no doubt in my mind. Yes, sir.
If I followed you right, you're saying that this stuff has to happen on the state level, correct?
Pardon me, sir?
Are you saying that this has to happen on the state level?
The pension funds for police and fire are covered by the Illinois State Constitution. So somebody's going to have to do a constitutional amendment to change it. I'm not sure if we could, through negotiations, maybe increase, and I've got retired firemen here and active, I don't know if through negotiations if we could increase your contribution to the pension fund. No, that's state. Okay. I thought it was, but I wasn't sure. So until what we need to do is lean on our state representatives, our state senators, and it'll happen. And I'll tell you the reason it'll happen, because cities all of a sudden and it's coming quick. Just don't have the money. And when you don't have the money, everybody's a loser. So it'll work its way out. I want to thank everybody for coming. I hope and I enlightened you a little bit. We've never done this before. We had nothing to go by. A little nervous up here, I'll be honest with you. But
Good job, Mayor.
well, thank you, Tim. Thank you. So.